Good evening. Welcome to my humble abode. My name is Matt Semrat. I'm the Northeast Region Quality Control Manager. I work underneath Dan Lucas and Ron Rogie in the heavy civil region of the Northeast, covering territory anywhere between Cleveland and Boston, and I guess all the way up into Maine. I hardly have any time to introduce myself and give you any of my background, so let's just get moving forward and get you guys some good information. Hopefully you can walk away from here having some questions. To start, I'd like to ask all of you, who here loves baseball? It's a good show of hands. Okay. Who knows who these two gentlemen are and what they have in common? Alright, yes, they do both or have both played for the Cubs. You're right. Doesn't seem like a lot of hands. You'll be surprised when I explain it to you in a minute. The first person is Jose Morales. He was a Minnesota Twin. He's going to be a Cub in 2015. And the gentleman at the bottom is relief pitcher Rafael Dolis. He plays for the Cubs, or did play for the Cubs, and is, I believe, now in the minor leagues. But what do they have in common, other than the fact that they were both Cubs? Well, both Jose and Rafael had perfect seasons. What? Perfect seasons? If you love baseball, you know that's hardly possible. You would have known about it. Let me explain. See, Jose batted 1,000 in 2007 for the Minnesota Twins, and Rafael Dolis in 2011 pitched a 0.00 ERA for the season. It's pretty impressive, right? You thought you would have heard about it. Well, what else do they have in common? They both may have had perfect seasons, but they both only played about an inning apiece. See, what you have to realize is both of these all-star players didn't add value to their teams. See, baseball learned something very, very early on, that statistics can be a measure of consistency and therefore value. Through these value-seeking statistics, we find that even the best player is incapable of always throwing a perfect game or always getting a hit, and therefore are incapable of always having perfect seasons. So what does this mean for us? Well, when I say that my project has excellent quality, do you assume that this means that we're always going to throw no-hitters, that we're always having perfect games? Here's an even better question for you. Does a project with no rework have a good quality program? So long story short, we in the Northeast region got tired of hearing that quality is good and not having tangible measures of comparison. So we started down a path in search of these statistics. Ah yes, the cost of quality, the cornerstone to the search of the statistics. For those of you that don't know, the cost of quality is comprised of both negative costs, or negative failures. That's the cost of internal failure and the cost of external failure. Internal failure in this regard is going to be the things that we talk about on a pretty consistent basis, the cost of rework. External failure is going to be the intangibles, things like perception and the understanding of how we perform in quality. Both of which are the negative costs of quality. The positive costs of quality, or the input costs of quality, are the cost of prevention and the cost of appraisal. So the cost of prevention is going to be things like training or pre-planning our work, whereas the cost of appraisals are the constants, things like testing concrete or testing rebar, things that we always are going to pay for no matter what. All four of these combined create the cost of quality. I want you guys to realize something here. There are only two variables. External failure is an intangible and appraisal is constant. If that's the case, then the two variables are the cost of rework and the cost to prevent rework, or the cost of training. Pretty important feature here. So what I'm really saying is that the cost of prevention plus the cost of internal failures equals the cost of quality. Wait a minute, what about the other two? They were constants or intangibles. So what does this really mean to us? You need to consider that these variables are the only place that we have an opportunity to change. As you can see in the graph here, as the cost of prevention increases, the cost of failure decreases, and that the combined value of the two is equal to the total cost of quality. Here's the takeaway I want you to consider. If the cost of prevention is increasing and the cost of failure is decreasing as the inputs change and the total cost ends up being an arc, as shown here, that if we prevent or we put zero money into prevention, that we're paying way too much for quality. Whereas if we put way too much money into prevention, we're also paying way too much money. That there's this intangible center point that we're really seeking out for the ideal cost of quality. What does this mean for us? Anybody have an answer? In order for us to be competitive in our market, we need to find this optimal quality point. It's the first time you may ever hear a quality guy say, we don't want to be perfect. We don't want to have zero incidents. We want to find that sweet spot. So, we in the Northeast region took the time to reinvest into some of the prevention costs. A lot of that has to do with rework tracking and TQA tracking, and I'm going to get into some of that. I want you to see how this kind of pans out. Here's what we know. Every month, I have a conversation with our quality control managers, and they basically feed me the information that I need in order to figure out where we're at in quality. We talk about things such as expected TQAs for the month, how many they actually received, how many work plans that they're going to have at the end of their projects, and how many they have today, where how many they should have today. We talk about the amount of QIRs that they have last month. We talk about their total number of QIRs. And then we add things like the total cost of rework today, project build cost. Some of the more important features of this information ends up being the extrapolated information you can see here in dollars per man hour, dollars per incident, and man hours per incident. And I'm going to talk about those in just a second as well. You do this for a long time and you end up with a lot of important information. As you can see here in 2013, we lost about $1.44 a man hour in rework, which each incident was probably averaging somewhere around $23,000, and we were seeing an incident at about a rate of every 23,000 man hours for a total cost of rework in 2013 of $4,394,000. It's a pretty hefty number. 2014, you can see we got worse. Wait a minute, Matt. You just said that you invested all this money into quality. Well, why are you getting worse? I'll get to that in a second. The most important thing that you realize is this, is that last year in 2014, we spent $3.62 throughout the region in rework at an incident size of approximately $18,000, and we were reporting incidents at every 5,000 man hours. Last month, the statistics are here as well. And we'll go through those at the end of the presentation because I'm going to take the opportunity to show you what I present to Dan every month so that he understands where we're at and what we need to do to change. Here you see dollars per man hour. Since July of 2013 to November of 2014, and I'll be showing you the statistics for December of 2014 at the end, so hold off on that. You see an increase of about $1.20 or $1.05 per man hour, all the way up to just below $2 per man hour. That's terrible. It's terrible, right? We're wasting $2 per man hour on rework. But here are the other two things I want you to see to keep this in perspective. Over the course of the same duration, we went from reporting incidents at about every 26,000 man hours, or 25 and a half, something to that effect, all the way down to about 7,500 man hours per incident. And I'm following the trend line, so don't get too caught up on the semantics here. What you need to realize is that people are reporting incidents more often. They're becoming more comfortable at reporting the incidents. Not only are they becoming more comfortable about reporting the incidents, they're also reporting smaller incidents over time. And when we first started, we were at about $27,000 per incident, and we're all the way down around $16,000 per incident now. Now you have to remember there are large incidents out there that happen, so you have to report some pretty small incidents to have some impression here. This is extremely huge. All three of these together show us something. That because we've reinvested into quality in just a little bit, I'm talking about we're measuring some statistics, we're keeping an eye on the guys, we're providing a training course for our foremen, we're getting involved. Just because we showed interest and stopped disciplining people and stopped chastising people because of these quality incidents, we've started to develop a culture where people are comfortable in reporting. So, all this being said, I have to come up with a tangible goal for 2015, and it's very, very challenging for me to do. We're currently down to about 6 active projects in the Northeast region, so I don't have a large pool of information, and as you can see per these graphs, well, we're starting to change, but we haven't quite gotten to a place where you can say, yeah, these are average incident size. So in 2015, the 2 tangible goals that I want to achieve is equilibrium within the statistics, and I want to see manifest destiny. I want to see us spread this throughout the company for a larger pool of information. Remember, these 2 gentlemen may have had a perfect game, but they weren't quality players. That quality players are not perfect people, and we need to embrace that. We need to embrace it often. See, we're not safety. We rely on the integrity of our employees for reporting. If we allow a project to believe that reporting is bad, or we chastise for reporting, then we lose our leading indicators because our participation will become withdrawn. Ultimately, contribution is the most fundamental piece. Case in point, there's a bridge in the Northeast region, and I dare say its name because they've been struggling. Whittier Bridge. They had TQA participation of about 35% in February, 43% in March, and about 53% in April. They only had $15,000 worth of rework. Something wasn't right. It seemed like there was no visible reporting with only 4 QIRs in total. There was an obvious constipation of information from the project. So we addressed it, and we addressed it again, and we addressed it again, and we kept educating the team, but people didn't respond. The project didn't change. Somewhere around June, there was an incident of relatively large size. I don't want to get into that too much. I think at this point we've already hashed that out. But people began to realize the problem. We restructured the project and we reprioritized quality, which were both very, very important things. Now they've recovered from the incident, and that's probably the most important thing. Today, the project is at around 98.5% TQA participation, which is huge. Their average incident reporting frequency has moved its way to 22,000 man-hours per incident from what was originally about 38,000. So they are reporting about a little bit more than twice as often as they were before. Now, the most important feature that people need to realize is that I can see that this project is reporting more. I can see that this project is on board. And this project boasts no rework of consequence in November or December. We don't want our projects to come to this. We want to be the best in class. We want to allow our projects the opportunity to be a part of the team early on. So, that being said, I know that there are plenty of questions. I want to move on for just a second to show you what I show Dan Lucas every month and what we as a company need to start seeing from our quality control managers.